Everyone that has a Letterboxd account knows the feeling where you keep adding movies to your watch list, knowing full well you're never actually going to watch them. A 1950s samurai epic, a 1970s British folk horror, or the random PBS documentary about a guy raising turkeys that you know if you watch, you're going to turn vegan. You can't casually sit down and decide to watch these movies on a random night, so you never end up watching any of them. I'm tired of seeing my watch list grow and grow without me checking any of the films off. So for this show, I'm going to put my entire watch list on shuffle, and whatever fate decides is what I watch. Welcome to the Watchlist Roulette. How this show is going to work is I'm going to hit the shuffle on my watch list, and then whatever comes up first is what I watch. I'm going to go watch that movie, come back, do my first impressions of it, and then I'm also going to later research how the movie was made, who made it, and kind of return to it to see if my opinions have changed. Because sometimes there's that movie on your watch list that you always hear about from the festivals or from critics, and then you watch it and you have no idea why they were praising it because it's been on your list for so long. So you need to actually do homework on it. Sometimes that makes the movie kind of a chore. Sometimes it's really fun to figure out why a movie is good. So that's what I'm going to do with this. Roulette, watch, reaction, research. Let's shuffle to see what we're going to do for this week. And hit it. Metropolis. Starting off with an old one. Pretty old one. Okay, sounds good. I think that's one of the first movies I ever added to the watch list, because you kind of have to. Metropolis. This is the coolest, oldest movie of all time. This movie is insane. And old movies are fun. Even this, especially the silent movies. I like it when actors are running at or away from the camera. And there's a lot of that in this. The sets are huge. So the actors are just running everywhere. They're always running. And it's always in relation to the camera. It's either this way or vertical. Old movies, because they have the different aspect ratio. There's a lot of climbing. King Kong climbing the skyscraper. In this, they're climbing ladders and staircases, and it's, the city has the levels. So there's the elevators and the top skyscraper, the head, and the planes and the different levels of highways. It's a very vertical movie with just massive sets. So there's hordes of people. Oh, how many people can we fit in frame? 30, maybe 40. Cool, let's try 50. They are just cramming people into the frame and just having them run around or climb onto each other. Really good crowd shots. It's more biblical than I was expecting. The Good Maria, not the robot one, is a very Christian image for salvation. And she literally tells the story of the Tower of Babylon, the first tower, because in this movie we have a new one. She tells the story of Babylon to the workers in catacombs with crucifixes behind her, and she tells them a Bible story, and she's very much wait for your savior. Don't do anything yourself, just have faith and it will eventually happen. It's interesting that the workers are, well, wait now, Maria, but we're running out of time. We're getting impatient. And, Mr. Bossman, the head of the city, sees her as the threat, even though she's telling them to be patient and not do anything. Because the workers want to revolt. She's the one thing that's keeping them, peaceful. And he's I need to attack her. I found that weird. Later, when they steal her likeness, that's when this becomes a full-on horror movie, kind of Twilight Zone levels. They kidnap the working people's savior, steal her likeness, they have a robot woman, and they make the robot woman look like her, and then they, let her out into the wild, where she can then taint Maria's image with noise and confusion. Because the robot Maria is both going to the rich people at the club, like the cabaret shows, and dancing really sexily, sexualizing her image. And then with the workers, she's like really, really like amping them up, like tear down all workstations, death to the machines, kill anyone that stands in your way, violent revolution. The head of the city wants, because he wants the angry mob. He benefits from the angry mob. So he wants them to be, bloodthirsty animals so that he can say, look, they're the bad guys. Let's get rid of them. Using her image to like confuse the city is super interesting. Like, imagine the billionaires of our world kidnapped Greta Thunberg, cloned her, and then used the clone to both start an OnlyFans and tell her Instagram followers to shoot the leader of their town. Two different crowds, two different images, this woman's face stolen from the real person. That's terrifying. I like that the movie is showing the two different Marias and how the crowd reacts. It muddies the waters intentionally. And also, it is a robot in human clothing. Quite scary today. Several times you see like the 7 deadly sins, and she's supposed to be this like queen of the apocalypse. She's wearing the same outfit that the Bible the preacher is reading about is showing. So, she's the robot version is pretending to be the harbinger of death, but a really sexy version, so everyone's okay with it. Just all these men, in suits. It's a funny shot the movie does multiple times of just crowds of men looking at Maria, both the robot and, the savior version, and they're like gripping their seats. They're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything as enthralling as this. And they're like leaning forward and they're climbing over each other. It's really funny. But the dance is infamous. It's definitely like one of the highlights of the movie, is that whole sequence of just like, whoa, this is weird. Whoa, what are we doing here? I didn't know we could do this in 1920s. It's Germany. It's before even the Hays Code in Hollywood. And Hollywood back then also did some pretty crazy stuff to get butts and seats. Like, sex sells even in 1920s, especially in the 1930s. If you meet anyone that has seen this movie, they're going to talk about the miniatures, the practical effects, the visual effects, the smoke in the mirrors, and, the cityscapes and all that stuff. And yes, that is like clearly the best part of this movie, besides the sexy robot dancing. The production design of this thing, it is gorgeous. There's some VFX shots in this movie, like it came out in 1927, and some of the stuff they're doing is like what ILM was doing in the 70s. Better, but like the same like concepts. We are in the early days of filmmaking. We haven't even added sound yet. And these guys are figuring out how to use the camera and what to put in front of it to make things look bigger than they actually are. Like forced perspective, parallax. How big does the water need to be? How big does the room need to be for the water to look massive? What sets do we build to make the cars and the people look tiny, even though they're like not even real people? Like, other movies at this time were doing similar things. Like they didn't just pull this out of their ass. They knew how to do it from earlier movies. This is like the Citizen Kane of practical effects. Like, they are doing jaw-dropping stuff, and it's all in one movie. That's like the big deal. There are other movies that maybe did it here, maybe did it in this shot. Every shot is that in this movie. Every single one. That's what most people talk about with this movie. But when I come back from the research, I do want to talk more in depth about everything surrounding that. Is this movie just 2.5 hours of a pretty picture, or is it something deeper? So German Expressionism started in the 1920s because Germany needed movies and didn't have access to foreign films from Hollywood or London or Paris, because the rest of the world isolated them from their economies. The German studio UFA committed to filling this demand for entertainment, but couldn't afford to make movies as big as Hollywood. Rather than spending money on imitating realism, like the other studios and countries were doing, they committed to an exaggerated emotional fantasy of how their characters see the world they're trapped in. Crooked walls, claustrophobic yet towering set design, dark painted makeup, and over-exaggerated performances. The early films, like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu, started with theatrical stage design, where they painted the lighting onto the fake walls. But by the time Fritz Lang built Metropolis, he burned through the production budget with miniatures, painted cityscapes, and giant crowd shots, and he used Hollywood-level studio lighting. In the 7 years leading up to Metropolis, the scale of Germany's new art movement grew beyond their wildest dreams. The visual design of German Expressionism is a nightmare that comes to life. Whatever drives you mad inside is now the all-consuming backdrop of your own tragedy. It's both a spectacle and a grotesque look into the universal fears of Germany at the time. Urban decay, class war, the Spanish flu, immigration, and violent authoritarianism. What started as an experiment by German filmmakers in a vacuum suddenly became a cultural source of pride once Germany was reintegrated to the rest of the world. A young Alfred Hitchcock was even sent to Berlin to study what madness the Germans were up to inside their sets. Fantastical lighting and dark shadows made their debut in Hollywood films, and German filmmakers, once they started escaping the rising Nazi threat, started entirely new genres on the big screen: horror and noir. Fritz Lang would eventually be one of them. A World War I vet from Austria with a missing right eye, Fritz Lang was not the leading voice of German Expressionism until the golden 20s. He produced Metropolis with his wife Thea von Harbo in the later years of the movement in 1927. It took 17 months to film and cost over 5 million Reichmarks. Wikipedia says that's about the same as 21 million euro at the time. I don't know what either number means, but it went way over budget. The set design and visual effects are the clear stars of this production, being both biblically operatic and futuristically cubist. The money shots of Metropolis' cityscape are clear influences for Star Wars, Gotham City, Blade Runner, and while I'm listing IP, can act as a pretty cool prequel to the Dune movies. Critics like H.G. Wells called it beautiful but silly, naive, and maybe even communist. The epic runtime was heavily criticized, so the American studio distributing it outside Berlin re-edited the entire film with a significantly shorter length. Lang stated he would never go to America. Their experts have slashed my best film. Several different studios and countries had their fair share of slicing the film in half, but one group seemed to really like it: the Nazis. They had their own edited version, one without the communist messaging, and Joseph Goebbels himself talked to Fritz Lang in 1933, wanting to hire him as the head producer of Nazi Germany's film propaganda. Fritz Lang declined. Thea von Harbo didn't. So they divorced. Fritz Lang escaped to Paris and then the United States and made films for 20 years in Hollywood. He returned to Germany in the 60s to end his career where it started, and died in 1976. Today, Metropolis and one of Fritz Lang's other German movies, M, which is also on my watch list, are celebrated as masterpieces and are recognized more often than his Hollywood American films. In 2008, film archivists found a copy of Metropolis in a museum in Argentina, of all places, of course. The reel was heavily damaged, but only missing 5 minutes of the original film. Today, if you buy the Blu-ray, the complete Metropolis, this is my brother's, you can watch that recovered print of Fritz Lang's intended version. And yes, the runtime is quite long. Not that you notice it, because the visuals are some of the best you will ever see. If you've got a movie on your watch list that you want me to check out, add it to the comments. I'll see if it's on my list. If not, I will add it to the pile. Quite literally a pile. And I'll see you next time, where I spin the Watchlist Roulette and see what random movie I get to watch next.